Hello, what's up, YouTube people? Henning Pauli here, that's me. Different angle, really not comfortable for me, but we're doing it anyway. I thought about how do I present some Strymon pedals, and you know, there's tons of really good videos out there. Many people have covered the... I moved things. The timeline and the Mobius and the big sky. Some people have already covered the deco, which is brand new, and it's been, it's been covered. People have shown you how amazing these pedals are, and if you want individual demos and sound samples of each of the modes, which you can, select with this nice mode switchy thingy, go to the Strymon website itself, strymon.net. Each of the individual product pages has amazing videos and sound samples, so they've really taken care of showing you everything about the pedals. So what can I do? Do I really need to do individual demos of the Strymons? Yeah, no. But since I've used them, I will do a demo for the Deco because it's awesome and there's many things to do with it, and I'll show you. And it's probably one of the most underestimated pedals that I know of. But what I can do is show you how we used it in productions. And I have worked with one of my favorite bands, Campaign Like Clockwork, and for the last couple of sessions we did with them, we used the board the way you see it here. There's a Milos Popovic Gainiac. We used the previous version, but anyway, it's... So, and what we did is we used all of it in stereo because we thought, hey, why not? And the results are amazing. Usually we layer and layer and layer guitars. We recorded a lot less guitars with a lot better results than ever before. And I'm going to show you some guitar layering, kind of like the approach that Tim Pierce would do, one of my heroes. So we're going to show you some stuff that we did in the sessions. Here's the chain. We went mono into the Gainiac for a little bit overdrive or, stuff like this, maybe a lead solo, which goes mono into the Deco. The Deco itself, since it has tape saturation, can drive rather nicely, and we actually used it for some overdrive sounds. I mean, tape saturation for a drive, weird concept, but really cool. And the Deco then can be stereo. It's two tape decks being moved in time next to each other, and then you can move the second one so that it actually wobbles a bit in its speed, which will give you some modulation. The Deco has a wide stereo mode, which means on the output you can actually make one tape deck go to the left and one go to the right, which is super awesome. So we did that. Was it actually left and right? Maybe I did the wrong thing, whatever. Maybe you're right and my left, I don't know. So, on some songs we did that and actually used it in wide stereo mode, where you actually split both tape decks to the left and right. So, left and right output of the Deco went into left and right input of the Mobius, left and right out of this into the timeline, and that into the big sky. And I know what you're gonna say. Obviously, we're looking at, roughly 3,000, no, wrong, roughly 2,000 euro of gear here. And who can afford that? Well, that's not the point. The point is, if you were to spend the money, and you've already spent that money on your amp, on your guitar, and all the other stuff, so why not on great effects? What you can get with it, what the results will be. The output left went into the Sewer Badger, into an Ignatia cab down in the basement, and the output right went into a modified Soldano Hot Rod 50, which had a clean channel built in, which is a very nice clean channel. So actually left and right are completely different amps, completely different types of amps, yet it still works. So first thing I'm going to show you is a very simple guitar solo. Nice drive from the Gainiac into the Deco, which all that it did is pretty much a little bit of tape slapback, so that you have a little bit of space in a roomy sound, and that in the wide stereo mode. The result was this: absolutely insane spatial guitar stuff. It sounds like there's a big 412 standing in a room, in a good studio room. And what surprised everyone, by doing that, the guitar stood right out of the mix. What you're gonna hear now is no EQ, no compression, not even moving the level fader. It was the guitar recorded in stereo, period. And that's exactly the way that it was recorded, done exactly nothing to it. And I've never done that. There's no extra reverb, nothing. This is just stereo recorded, played back, that's it. And it sits perfectly in the mix. So you're gonna hear that right now. The song is called Greatest Man Alive. Guitar player Martin Giemser. Killer guy. Congo, do you have to shake? I'm recording. Come on. Come on. So, pretty cool solo and done nothing to it. Smack right there in the mix. The next one is the outro solo for a song called Run, which we've already, I can't just say that, already recorded here in a live session, which is on my channel. Look for Campaign Like Clockwork Run. Maybe we're nice enough to put a link below the video. And, so this is the studio version, and same thing, exactly the same setup. Listen to how his guitar part just stands out of the mix without being too loud or penetrating. It's just the spatial capabilities of the deco and the nice tape saturation just makes the guitar fat enough to just work on itself. Here we go. Nice, isn't it? So, we're gonna move on to a song called Surrender. I'm gonna look at my cheat sheet here. Wait a second. Yes. Now, Surrender we did the night before Deco arrived. So, you know, no Deco on that. So what you're gonna hear is incredibly pad-like electric guitars. I guarantee there's not a single synthesizer in the track. And Alex Demov's guitar that he recorded for the verse is going through, I don't know, some kind of modulation, and of course a nice delay, but some of the very, very creative pad-like reverbs they have. And I think what we used here is the choral, which actually puts a formant filter on the reverb signal. So it sounds like it's a choir singing. So we're going to listen to the individual elements now, and then we're going to put them together and you see how it all fits together. So here we go. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that's a very boring guitar part. Well, one of the things that you have to do when you play with effects that are so cool and add so much to the sound is you gotta step back and let the sound do the talking, okay? And that's what the guitar players realized when they played these sounds. They were like, well, I don't have to do too much. I'm like, exactly. You know, play simple parts. Think Tim Pierce, think studio guitar player, not show-off guitar player. The sound does the talking. So next, we're looking at Martin's guitar part, and when you listen to it by itself, you won't hear it. It's all pretty much played on offbeats. The whole thing is offbeats, and a relatively simple part. Okay, so check it out. So this part's job was to bring out the C major, the sus4, the sus2, and back to the C major. Okay, and I think it did it nicely. In context, you're gonna see. The other thing we did was I had him double that, exactly the way you played it, with a slightly different delay sound, and then I moved the whole thing an eighth note back. Okay, and I think what I did is I prepared a track for you where you hear those two together. So you played it exactly the second time, and I just moved it. Let's listen to that. I don't think I have to mention that there's obviously no additional effects added, because why would you? I mean, if it sounds like this, what's the point? Now let's listen to it all together with a nice bass, which is pretty much just doing a C. Here we go. Sounds pretty freaking nice and huge, and as if there's, you know, a synthesizer and a keyboard player in there. Well, there's not. You can do that all, you know, with your guitar. So we move on to, I gotta look at my cheat sheet. The chorus. Now, exactly the same sound that Alex used in the verse, the nice green one you saw, we used in the chorus. Pretty much I have him play octaves and alternate with his fingers between the two octaves, lower octave, higher octave, playing eighth notes, and playing a very, very simple background line, which sounds like this. Simple enough. It will all come together in context, I promise you. Now, Martin's part was very high, and it was a high picking, and I wanted it to stand out. So what I did is I actually used a filter from the Mobius to make it sound, well, the word would be filtered, kind of wah-ish, but like a fixed wah. And then some nice delay, and I think we had reverb on there too. Let's check it out. Yeah, it's a clean sound, but the filter adds some dirty, kind of a little bit overdriven, distorty elements without actually sounding like distortion. Really cool. So the other sounds that are in there is just a power chord guitar, left and right, and some thirds and fifth playing single note lines playing thirds and fifth, threes and fives, stuff like this, with an octave fuzz, which actually was the idea of the drummer. Can you imagine? Now, Hank, the drummer, wants to be able to, talk along when we talk about guitar sounds. So what does he do? He watches my videos. He's freaking nuts. But we had three professional guitar players that studied this in the room, and the idea to come up, the idea to use an octave fuzz came from the drummer. Now, did we feel stupid or what? Well, in context, it sounds like this. Pretty cool. It's huge without actually being overwhelming. There's a lot of place for the vocals, and you can clearly hear that the drums are there. The drums have a lot of space because, well, bass drum smack in the middle, snare smack in the middle. They can come through because the guitars are all the way to the left and right. So stereo recording has definite benefits. And as you can see, we didn't record a million guitar parts. We recorded actually very few, but used stereo. So, moving on, let me look at my cheat sheet. Yeah, we got the bridge. So, we have the bridge guitars. That is, again, Martin's guitar and Alex's guitar, and they're kind of left and right, and you're gonna hear them together right away. And then we put it all together so you can hear it in context. Here we go. Now, given how floaty and beautiful and how clean these sounds are and how much space they're taking up, you would think that this is a quiet part. Well, just listen to the whole thing. Now, is that nice or what? Well, or what? No, it's nice. So, let me look here. We're moving on to Not Your War. Oh, that's a huge song. There's a lot of atmosphere in it. It starts off with a long intro, and it's you know, taking you on a ride. That's like a 6-7 minute song in the end. And we need a lot of loud stuff, but we also need a lot of longing, kind of sad atmospheres. So the verse features a line cliche, which is great. It's a C minor, but then goes to C minor major 7, C minor 7, C minor 6, and then, you know, it just moves the 7 along. It's a typical line cliche. It's beautiful, and the guitars had to support that. Now, the first thing you're going to hear is, after a huge intro with a big synthesizer, electronic drums, and huge synthesizer pads, it goes and cuts out and goes to a super, super simple, as clean as possible, direct in your face guitar. And the only thing we did is we used the deco to give it a little bit stereo and move it a little bit to the right and give it a little bit of space, but make it as simple and direct as possible. And that's a little bit to the right. On the left, you're gonna hear just the root note, but reversed. That's not an effect we used from here. I just went in Cubase and reversed it. After that, you hear the guitar just being very, very simple and being a pad, pretty much just playing a C minor. Okay? And here we go. Incredibly simple, but it's creating the atmosphere, because Hank is coming in with his huge toms, and then we got just a sustained bass, and altogether it'll work, as you can hear now. Trust me, once that's finished, you're gonna get goosebumps listening to Rafa sing on top of that. Rafa, what a name, come on. So, moving on to verse 2. I'm gonna give you all the guitars together right away. There's pretty much just guitars playing single notes, there's guitars playing the line cliche, there's one guitar playing nothing but the minor third, which I chopped up. We could have done that with the Mobius doing a stuttering kind of tremolo, but I wanted a little bit more control and a more precise rhythm that, I mean, it could have done that, but it's easier for me to cut it, and you will be able to see that. And then it goes into a delay guitar, which then is doubled with the harmony, and moved a 16th. So listen to what you can do with a couple of really, really cool stereo tracks. By itself freaking awesome. Now check this out in context. It's crazy. just a few, a few elements that all have their own function. If you approach it like this, equipment like this can do wonders. Now, we're moving on to another part of Not Your War, which is the bridge. Which bridge is that? Ah, that bridge. Well, here we wanted, again, a very in-your-face, very simple, no effects guitar. And we just used the, where is it here, the deco. We had some saturation on, and we had some, just, I think, the tiniest bit of spatial kind of chorusing, flanging, or whatever. Just, maybe not even that. It's just very, very direct. And, what we then did, I had him double the part twice, an octave higher. I moved the second take, which had a little bit of a different effect, a 16th, again, 16th to the back, so we had this 16th movement going on. But first you're going to hear it without that. Just pretty much repetitive. So let's listen to the part by itself. So now the two yellowish-brownish ones are coming in, which is again just a double, an octave higher. And I didn't want it to sound like there's, another part. I just wanted that original part to become bigger without the audience actually noticing that it's becoming bigger. Just some space. And that's what it sounds like when we all put them all together. Neat, huh? The last thing we're going to look at, if I'm correct, let me check. Yes, is the last chorus of Not Your War. We're going to look at the clean guitar that Martin played, and then some dirt. But first of all, let's look at the clean guitar. As far as I remember, it's got some nice filter delay on it from the timeline. You want that filter delay, trust me. Oh, listen to it, and then you know. If I remember correctly, that was actually my LSL Satikoi Strat. The next part, for some reason, for most of these parts, Alex Dimov grabbed the Telecaster off the wall. So, I didn't argue, so we used the Telecaster. But, what's really cool, instead of using any kind of drive, we just cranked the saturation up on the deco, and used that as our drive sound, which made it very round, the telly is, you know, aggressive anyway, but it rounded off the telly and made for the most beautiful, you know, drive sound. So I prepared it so that you don't hear all 4 guitars that you see in the video. You're gonna hear one on the left and one on the right, and that's, you know, for each guitar part, but they're doubled in the end, so you hear twice as many in the final version. So let's listen. I just heard it. I remember that Martin's guitar, the light blue one, actually also had some flanging from the Deco. Okay? Or flanging, or however you want to call it. Which is when you pretty much move the second deck very, very slightly behind the first one, and then you wobble it a little bit, modulating the speed. But more on that in the Deco demo. The Deco demo. Well, let's listen to that glorious last chorus with everything together. Now, wasn't that fun? It was. I hope I could shed some light on how to actually use these boxes in context. I mean, there's many, many videos, and I've watched many of them, that show you in great detail and beautifully recorded what they can do. But you might have asked yourself, well, do I need all this effect crap? Can I actually use it in context, and will it enhance my sound? Or is it just for fun and to twiddle the knobs, but in the end you're gonna tone it all down and not use it, because it's all, as we say in German, Effekthascherei, sagen wir. Which means trying to get, you know, better with effects. Well, they don't make you better. You gotta be good to begin with. They'll just help you to get the sound you envision. So, killer stuff that my friends from Strymon did there. And, the board that you see here is just standing here for sessions from now on, because especially for this type of music, I couldn't think of not using it anymore. It really helps, and even though a stereo setup is a lot more work to set up, it's absolutely worth it. I hope you had some fun. Check out Campaign Like Clockwork on their Facebook site and their website. This album should be coming out sometime this year, hopefully, and you'd be stupid not to get it. Thanks to my friends from CLC, which is Paul, Alex, Martin, Rafa, and Henk, for hanging out with me and letting me produce this great music. Okay, I'll see you guys on the Flippity Flop, whatever that is. If you know what a Flippity Flop is, please write it in the comments. And subscribe. Oh, if you want to buy any of this crap, it's not crap, you know what I mean. If you want to buy this crap, links below to THOMANN. You'd really help me out if you buy some stuff, because then I get free strings or something. I know they're not cheap, but they're worth every freaking cent. See ya.